Were you able to connect to the Wi-Fi?
I'm not going to. You have to create an account and all.
Okay.
Do you need this table?
Oh, no, you're good right there. Just gonna set this up right here.
Nope. Okay. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Let me set this up on the chair instead. That way.
Bruce, if that changes, just let me know.
Hey.
You sure?
Oh yeah, Zoom. I got one of those. An old one. That's pretty funny.
All right, you ready? Your mic test on two. Hey, good morning. Welcome.
So just go avoid any.
No, it's really good. It's a little too close.
All right, ready to rock and roll. What's the time stamp? All right, perfect. This presentation is 2 hours. So we're going to get it done in 45 minutes to make sure we have time for questions and answers. I'm a very firm believer that to make it catchy is not what you learn, it's what you do with what you learn. All right? So my name is Bruce Hill. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. I am going to actually get all your names. You will participate when I teach. I've learned that people remember better and they're able to execute at a higher level. So if you don't have a pen and paper, please pull out some recording device. One thing about any time I open my mouth, it's going to be actionable. All right? It's not going to be some pretty ideas about 50 years into the future. You're going to be able to take it and apply it to your life, to your relationships, to your business, to your career as early as today. And you can start seeing the impact on your life in that same amount of time. All right, sounds good. If you would over here, what's your name, sir? What do you do?
I'm Eric Purvis. I'm a BI developer for SI LTL Freight.
Thank you for joining us, Eric. Dinesh?
I'm Dinesh Patel and I'm BI developer.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Jorge Sensei, database administrator and developer.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Brian?
Brian Allen, I work for Tremont Real Estate Advisors in ISN.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Robert?
Robert Seinstick. I'm also BI developer.
Wonderful. Good to have you. Sean Joseph?
I'm a data engineer and work for Microsoft as a technical trainer.
Wonderful. Good to have you. And I do encourage you all after this session. John Joseph has a session at 10:15 that is on Azure. I encourage you to join. Sir?
Sergio, I manage a team of visualization developers.
Oh, wonderful. You manage a team. You're going to love this training. Go ahead. And with the Predators hat. What's going on, Nashville?
In Nashville.
I used to live in the 615 not too long ago, Davidson County.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what's your name?
So I'm Brendan. I'm a contact center director and in the music industry.
Of course you are. Good to have you, Brandon. Miss, and then the gentleman in the red.
I'm Amelia. I'm a programming student at Atlanta.
Pleasure, pleasure. Oh, wonderful. Active learner. You're going to appreciate this session. Well, come on, gentlemen. We got room for 5 more. You're sir in the cap.
I'm Brad Morris. I work at Improving. I'm kind of more of a BA. I work with translate between the developers and the clients.
Ooh, you're good. This one's just for you. Perfect.
I'm Devin Dogan. I'm a business intelligence analyst. I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs in the Rocky Mountain region of the Denver area.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Just introduce yourself, what you do very quickly. You don't have to, short and sweet, as they say.
Scrum Master.
Oh, wonderful. Good to have you. I'm surprised. You're the first person so far. Go ahead.
SQL support engineer and trainer.
Oh, and trainer. Good. You'll like this one as well.
Excel and Power BI trainer and consultant.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right, let's get rocking and rolling. So, what's fascinating to me that I'm Bruce Hill. I'm actually a sales trainer. I started off in business and finance, and I got tired of working harder than everyone and getting paid the same as everyone. And I thought to myself, there has to be a better way. Now, I didn't figure it out, but in the back of my head, there's got to be some way so that the level of my effort matches my compensation. That's a reasonable request, right? Well, the good news and the bad news was my company sold that division. So even though I just moved from Cincinnati, Ohio, any Ohioans in here? There's usually always one. I had just moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Just had a nice apartment, just bought a new car. Life was good, and then I lost my job. So I called my best friend up and I said, man, what do? I want to get different results. I'm willing to do something different. Now pay attention to this, please. Be careful who you take advice from. If you take their advice long enough, you'll end up with their life. So you have to ask yourself, if I were to switch places with them, would I be happy or would I be miserable? So if he had sold life insurance, I could be a life insurance broker today. If he had sold houses, I could be a realtor today. If he sold drugs, I could be dead or in jail. Thankfully for all of us, he sold cars. He said, Bruce, go sell cars. I don't know about you, but I never really met a car salesperson that I liked. I said, all right, we'll give it a try. And I want to let you know I was absolutely terrible. Right? I don't know if you expected a motivational speech like, yeah, I made $1 million my first year. No, I was absolutely awful. But I went from awful to 2 times President's Club award winner to top 100 nationwide to the highest consecutive customer service scores to trainer and on track for a sales manager. And I'm going to teach you the principles that I learned so that you can excel in any area of your life. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to turn you into a killer closer or a master manipulator. This is the wrong training. What I want to teach you is a very simple concept, is that one new skill will change your life. Now, pop quiz, somebody help me out. How many skills does it take to change your life? 1. Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Give a round of applause. Somebody's up this morning. Listen, this is the first time you've worked with me. I don't ask trick questions. Anything I ask you, if the answer is obvious, it's the correct answer. I'm not here to trick you. I'm here to empower you so that you are better for and transformed because we had this time together today. So I got really good. When anybody say I was doing pretty well. So then I said, man, I'm going to move to outside sales because then I can control how many people I talk to in the day and I can make more money. That was my motivation at the time. I wanted to make more money. We're going to circle back around to that. So if I'm doing really well in this area, people coming to the store, you already know what they want. If you go into a car dealership, it's pretty safe to say you're not going to buy a washer and dryer, right? So it was pretty easy to figure out what people wanted when they came in. So I moved to outside sales so I could talk to more people in a day. And I thought to myself, if I could talk to more people, I can make more money. The first month, does anyone want to guess how much I made my first month when I moved to outside sales?
Less.
0.
You guys are good. Give yourselves a round of applause again. I made $0 in commissions that first month. The second month, I made $7 in commission. Okay? The third month, I made $250 in commissions. Now, I don't know what your living expenses are like, but if you made $300 in 9 months, you'd be in a tough situation, right? Life would be looking good. Maybe the missus mad at you, your partner's not too happy, maybe you get a little nervous. So you have a decision to make. Please, everyone write this down. Do I pivot or do I persevere? Do I pivot or do I persevere? I like alliterations. You'll hear me use a lot of those. In simple terms, since it's still early, right? In simple terms, that means do I give up or do I keep going? You have to ask yourself a question. Is what I'm doing not working or is it not working yet? And it's a very difficult question because a lot of times we only ask this about things we haven't done before. And this is where it's all going to come together. This is where you can use it. I had to ask myself the question, do I keep going? Do I keep trying? Or do I give up? So what I did was, there's 3 principles I'm going to teach you. If you fall asleep, your Wi-Fi dies, you decide to leave, there's these 3 principles you can take into your life and you can put them into use right away. And the number 1 is I ask for help. You can get a coach, get feedback, but I ask for help. I said, hey, what do I need to do differently? Obviously, what I'm doing is not working. Now, this is important. A lot of people don't like to pay for coaches. Does anyone know why people don't like to pay for coaches? They don't like to pay for training. Does anybody know why? Go ahead. They feel like they can figure it out for themselves. This is very important. Here's something very subtle about being good or being great. You can figure it out for yourselves. Would everyone agree your professions are above average in difficulty? Who thinks what you do is a little bit more difficult than flipping burgers at McDonald's? Anybody? Okay. And that's not to be condescending. It takes a little bit more of effort and training to get to where you are today. But here's the incremental value of getting a coach. They provide something that figuring it out doesn't do for you. And that's feedback. So that's number 1. Write that down, is get feedback. You can go listen to a podcast. You can grab a digital course. You can find it on YouTube. You can read a book. And those are wonderful things to do. That's actually going to bring me to number 2. The difference is those mediums cannot provide you feedback. So the feedback I got, the reason my commissions was less than $300, I was selling items that were obsolete. I didn't know they were obsolete. They were in the training I took because I was going to figure it out on my own. I was going to figure it out myself. And I was doing pretty well. I was selling things. People were telling me yes. They were giving me money. They were signing the contracts. Why weren't the commissions sticking? Because the technical team would go in to install the product for the customer. They would look at the order list and they'd be like, what the hell did this guy sell? And they would have to start from scratch. So that means everything that I offered didn't get installed, which means I didn't get paid. Feedback transformed my career. Asking that one question transformed my life. I wouldn't be speaking to you today, right? I'd be homeless under a bridge somewhere. Number 2, so what's number 1? Somebody tell me number 1, make sure we're all paying attention. Beautiful. Number 2 is never stop learning. And the reason that's number 2, because a good coach, a good guide, a good mentor is going to tell you to go study something you didn't even know to Google. How many of you have heard of ChatGPT? How long ago did you hear about ChatGPT? If you've heard about ChatGPT, let's say at least a week, put your hand up and keep it up. At least a week. If you've had it for at least a month, put your hand up, keep it up. If it's 2 months, keep your hand up. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. We got one person at 5 months. 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. Do you see what happened here? ChatGPT has been around twice as long as you've heard of it, but you did not know to go Google it. That's what feedback is so important. That's where guidance is so important. Thank you so much, Robert. So then number 2 is to keep learning. The reason I consider myself an expert is not because I'm smarter than any of you, it's because I've spent more time doing one thing, that's teaching and training, than a lot of you. I turned 37 last month. I've been teaching for 30 years. That's a hell of a head start. And so we're going to circle back around to mastery. Never stop learning. A lot of people finish university and they're done. They never read another book again. The average American reads 0.8 books after high school. So let's see who's good at math. That means they're either reading books and not finishing them, or it takes them 5 years to read 4 books. Right? Does that add up? So all you have to do to be above average is to read one book. That's pretty easy, right? Being above average isn't difficult as long as you follow the steps. So what's number one?
Get feedback.
And what's number two?
Never stop learning.
Beautiful. Now, number three, this is my favorite one. Number three. I'm gonna write this one down. This is the most important one. Let's fill in the break. And you're not gonna be wrong, but we're gonna update our paradigm. Practice makes
Perfect.
absolutely not. If you practice it wrong, you're going to get really good at doing it wrong. Write this down. Practice makes permanent. Practice makes permanent. When you do something over and over and over and over again, you get so good at it, two things happen. It becomes easy. Right? Jim Rohn has one of my favorite quotes. He's like, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Right? Think about it. We have any gym rats in here? Okay, a little bit. All right. So imagine this. You go into the gym, and you go pick up a weight. You're like, all right, new year, new me. And you go pick up, I don't know why you do this. You go pick up a 50-pound dumbbell. You go, whoo. Slide down, you're like, let's get a 10-pound dumbbell. Okay? So you get a couple of these in, right? You're stretching, you're eating well, right? Because you got a coach. You're making sure you do it right. You give you feedback. You're doing them like this. You're like, hey, no, tuck those elbows in, right? Keep close to your chest. Oh, I didn't know that, right? Feedback. And so then you get a little stronger and you hit the 20 pounds, right? Follow instructions. You're being consistent. You're eating well, right? You get to the 30 pounds, get to the 40 pounds, and you get back to the 50 pounds. And you're like, oh, man, this is easy. What happened? Did 50 pounds get lighter?
No. You got stronger.
You got stronger. Practice makes permanent. Practice makes it easy. And here's a bonus. Practice creates confidence. And this is going to bring us to the second part of this training about skills. So practice is the next step in transforming your life. When we talk about a new skill, I believe no one is born with any particular set of skills. No one's born a musician. No one's born a chess player. No one's born a basketball player. No one's even born a speaker. Stay with me. I do recognize that some people learn things more quickly than others. Can we agree on that? However, I'm going to get myself in trouble. If you grew up in Brazil, it's very likely that you're going to learn Portuguese. If you grew up in Western Asia during the 1700s, it's very likely you would have learned Arabic and you would have practiced Islam. And so what I start to realize as I look at a pattern is that the skills we are, let's say they're natural, are only because of the environment we were in and what we practiced over and over and over and over again until it becomes part of our identity. So, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, arguably one of the greatest basketball players ever. Come to find out, his father was a professional basketball player. And he started when he was 4. If we look at Tiger Woods, obviously one of the greatest golfers since Jack Nicklaus, come to find out his parents were golfers. And he started, he might have been 3. We got a special set of clubs for a 3-year-old, I don't know. So I don't want to diminish their talent, their skill, or accomplishments, but I want to give you all some hope, as all they did was practice more than everyone else. How does this apply to us? How does this apply to my SQL developers, to my BAs? How does this apply to us? I never want you to get stuck on where you are. I never want you to get stuck on where you are right now. And this goes for any team members that you lead. Oftentimes, they just haven't had enough practice. So, who's heard the 10,000 hour rule? who would like to share, give us a brief overview? Anyone? Brandon? Brian? Go ahead.
Well, I've heard it and I've heard it debunked, but you can learn any new skill by practicing it for 10,000 hours.
Very
Like
good.
play piano or something like that.
Professor, I believe, well, let me not misquote it, but it was Eric Anderson. He said you can achieve mastery by practicing something for 10,000 hours. And it was made popular by Malcolm Gladwell in his book called Outliers. Great read for my bibliophils. Here's the problem I have with 10,000 hours. I personally don't think it's 10,000 hours. I want you to make a note of this for yourself. I believe it's 10,000 repetitions. Okay? We're going to come back to practice. Why is that? Can anyone guess why is that an important distinction?
What's the distinction we're trying to make?
Say that again.
What's the distinction we're trying to make?
Hours versus repetitions.
Some people, it might take longer for them.
Jean, thank you so much. It might take longer for some people. Go ahead.
I was thinking because if it's 10,000 hours, you might do more than 10,000 repetitions.
Or less.
There we go. Now we're getting, give this one a round of applause, please. This is very important. Let's go back to our golf analogy. There's 18 holes in golf. It's beautiful, maybe not this Saturday morning, right? It's a beautiful Saturday morning. I'm on a golf course. I do 18 holes, and it takes me 8 hours. All right, so let's do this. I'll say 18 holes, say 8 hours, okay? This is the repetitions. This is time. Now, I'm a pretty terrible golfer. Any golfers? No? Okay. 8 hours is an absurd amount of time to do 18 holes, all right? This is absolutely terrible, okay? Now, my buddy, he's been golfing for years. He's pretty good. He does 18 holes in 4 hours. And he's waiting for me, so he says, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play it backwards. So he does 18 holes again. And he does that also in 4 hours. So now he's done 36 holes of golf in the same amount of time. I told you I don't ask trick questions. Who's done more golfing? He did 36 holes of golf, right? This is why hours is a misleading metric. If you're running a marathon, you don't get a prize for getting there longer, right? No one's gonna clap you on the back. Man, you took 3 days to finish the marathon. Great job. So we have to switch our thinking, and this is good for each and every one of you, that we want to get as many repetitions in whatever skill we're focused on in order to achieve mastery. So I want you all, be careful, watch out for people, I've been doing this for 30 years. Bruce, what have you been doing for 30 years? How many repetitions did you get in? I believe if you do something, again, we've got a coach to give us feedback, we're continuing the learning, and where practice makes improvement, right? I believe if you do something 10,000 times, you're gonna get pretty good at it. There's no other possible outcome. If only because no one else has taken that much time and effort to do it. I recognize that repetitions are a limit of time, right? He still had to go through 8 hours to get there. But how efficient you were with that time is very, very important. Let me pause there. Any questions, comments, concerns? Excellent, excellent, excellent. So let's recap. There's 3 steps that we want to take whenever we're learning a new skill. What's number 1? Ask for help. Beautiful. What's number 2? And what's number 3? Practice makes permanent. Beautiful. Man, you guys are good. So now, I said earlier, no one's born with a skill. I want to teach you a concept. Who's heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect? 2 people. That's 2 more than usual. Awesome. So on this axis, on the y-axis, it's going to be confidence, okay? And I encourage you all to draw this out. because it's going to be a positive reminder. Excuse me, let me talk facing you. It's going to be a positive reminder as you are developing, whether it's speaking, whether it's leadership, whether it's a new programming language, whether it's using AI on a day-to-day basis. All right? Your level of confidence is going to start pretty low. You may have confidence, hey, I can learn this, I can figure this out. But as far as someone says, hey, are you ready to teach this? If you're here, you're like, that's step 2, I'm on step 1. I told you I like alliterations. The x-axis is going to be capability, or you could use the word competence. I like competence better. It gets a little confusing. You know, competence, confidence, competence. Say it 5 times fast. No one knows what you're talking about. So let's call this ability. All right. Here's something fascinating that happens to the novice. Let's say the novice is from here to here. All right. This is the ability. Note, this isn't measured in time. This is your ability. Their confidence is disproportionately high to their ability. You ever sit and watch the Olympics with someone? They're like, I could do that. Maybe you've said it. I ain't telling you, right? This overconfidence is a unique indication of their inability. It is an inverse relationship. It should be a red flag for yourself. You're doing a little self-reflection. And it should be a red flag if you're perhaps interviewing someone. Hey, scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at blank? I'm 11. Really? How long have you been doing it? 3 months. That's an indication they're still a novice. Okay? Here's something fascinating that Dunning-Kruger found as they were giving out this assessment, a skills assessment versus a confidence, something happens. As you increase in ability, as your competence increases, there is a massive dip in your confidence. Does anybody know what happens when you're good at something but you don't believe in yourself? Does anybody know that word? Go ahead. That's the cause. Excellent. That's part 2 of the question. Hold on to that. Boom! Imposter syndrome. What happens is, what's your name, miss? Sure. What happens is, sure, you realize how much you don't know. You see, when you're a novice, you don't know how much you don't know. So you assume you know everything. Confidence goes through the roof, right? I've been studying SQL 3 months now. I'm the best in the world. You're overconfident. But as you start studying, right? Maybe it's week 3 in a row, week 4 in a row, and nothing's worked. Like your queries are taking 100 seconds. You're like, wait a minute. Your confidence goes down. You're like, crap. They're going to fire me. And maybe you felt this. You're like, oh man, I got to give a presentation. What if they find out I'm not as good as they think I am? I've got some good news for you. A novice does not have the capacity to feel imposter syndrome. Let me say that again. A novice is unable to feel imposter syndrome. So overconfidence is a red flag. Imposter syndrome is a green flag. Because stay with me, while it's very easy to look all the way down the road and realize how far you have to go, we cannot ignore how far we've gone. Make sense, Brian? We have to give ourselves credit. It's called the Stockdale paradox. We have to give ourselves credit for where we are, what we've accomplished, what we've done, what we do know, while still being brutally honest with ourselves. We got a lot of work to do. But the good news is, if you get here and you feel imposter syndrome, you're making progress, okay? Give yourselves a pat on the back. You're like, man, I'm making progress. But that's not where we want to stop. As you hit those 10,000 repetitions, your confidence goes back up, and it's an X equals Y. Anybody want to go back to Calc 1, right? It's directly proportional, your confidence to your competence. X equals Y, it's a straight line. That's where it should be. Where I'm honest with myself, hey, I'm pretty good. I've been doing this for a few years now. And I'm going to keep practicing getting better. This is the core concept I want to teach each and every one of you. Who's been in their field for at least a year? Raise your hand and leave it up. 2 years? 5 years? Any 10 years? 15? 20? Okay, beautiful. We've got a wide range here. This is invaluable for each and every one of you. Because I don't want you to get here and stop. What's number 2? It's imperative to keep learning. There's another reason you should keep learning. Does anybody want to guess? Right, it's 2023. I've played Atari. I've used COBOL. I've programmed in DOS. What would have happened if I stopped learning?
You would have been stuck because technology changes.
Even worse than stuck, you're behind. Right? You're like, I'm the best COBOL developer in the world. Okay, and I know Latin. Never stop learning. All right, let's keep going. Oh, pause. Questions, comments, concerns. It's so simple, guys. It's so simple. But when it's easy to do, it's easy not to do. One of my favorite quotes is, knowledge is useless until you use it. That's some guy, Bruce Hill. He's a great guy, great guy. So now what have we covered? We covered the 3 principles of mastering a new skill. We've covered the Dunning-Kruger effect. Now let's pick some skills. What should we be learning? What should we be tackling next? There's only so much time I could put into those repetitions. How do I use that time most effectively? Any ideas? That's why I'm here. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the fascinating thing. Why do they have a sales trainer teaching a technical crowd? Why? Does anybody ask that question? What does selling have to do with any of the technical roles you're in?
You have to sell it to make money so you can support your own business.
I have to sell what I'm doing to management to sell what we change, sell directly.
So this is a different training, but I like that answer. So I'm gonna give you a sneak peek at another training I do, and it's called Sales is Service. No one hires you because they like you. They may not hire you because they don't like you, but they can't say like, you know what, Bruce is a nice guy. He don't know nothing about Node. He knows nothing about JavaScript. Don't know Ruby. Don't know Python. But he's a nice guy. Let's hire him. No, that's not gonna work.
But you have to sell yourself.
We're gonna get there. Sales is a service. So the question is, people hire you because they have a problem, right? There's work that needs to be done, and there's nobody doing it, or not enough people doing it, right? So they have a problem. So the service is, I'm going to help you solve your problem. That's the service. So you have to answer the question proactively, how does hiring you improve the business? How does hiring you solve my problem? And this is a whole, I literally do a whole workshop on this. This is the problem people have with sales. Sales isn't taking, it's giving. When you serve well, you earn well. That's why skills are so important. Think about it. I hope that you make much more today than you did 10 years ago. What changed? Your skills improved. You got more repetitions. They call it experience, right? So what I've discovered is I beat a lot of people to opportunities because of this one skill. This one, if you don't learn any other programming language, you don't get any other certs, if you learn the skill, you can advance much farther than the average.
Yes.
I learned how to communicate by selling. I talked to hundreds of people a day in person and made thousands of phone calls a week. And what happened was, those were repetitions. What happened was I got really good at communication. I saw you had your hand up. Did you want to add something before you forget? I used to ask the question. People would come into the car dealership where I worked, and all the reps would say, "Hey, how can I help you?" And one day, a smart ass, she said, "Well, I'm not here to buy shoes." Ha 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 ha. Right? And so I thought to myself, I said, man, what's a better question I can ask? And I came up with this question. I say, hey, how can I make the most of your visit today? How can I make the most of your visit today? That question made me a lot of money. And I don't have time to break it down. But there's two very subtle things about that question. Because inside of the question is, how can I serve you? And the other part of the question is an open-ended question. Who can tell me what an open-ended question is?
It doesn't get yes or no.
Very good. So I'm going to give you all this very simple tip that you can improve your communication today, almost instantly. I want you to ask questions that start with who, what, where, when, why, or how. Those are all adverbs. I believe better questions equals better opportunities. Write that down. Better questions equals better opportunities. If you were to, and I'm not telling you all, and in fact I discourage all of you, don't go quit your job and start a business. Don't do that. But if you ask the question, what is the biggest obstacle to our success? Where are we struggling the most? When you ask these open-ended questions, even if they're self-reflection questions, you can start to innovate. That's when you start winning awards. That's when they start saying, hey, we need you to lead teams. That's where you start leading initiatives. That's when your whole life can change. It only takes one new skill to change your life. How many skills does it take to change your life? One. It's really so simple, but simple isn't always easy. This was a phenomenal skill. So when I went to outside sales, I was literally knocking on people's doors, visiting people's businesses. You have to understand, some of the neighborhoods I went to had a lot of white people in there. We ain't gonna sugarcoat it. And I startled a lot of people because they opened the door and they're like, oh, it's Bruce. I had to get very good at communicating. Why are you here? And I had to do it very quickly. This is probably one of the most valuable skills I learned. And I got pretty good at it. I went from $300 in 3 months to I tripled my salary that 4th month. I doubled it the 5th month. I doubled it the 6th month. I doubled it the 7th month. I doubled it the 8th month. Guess what happened the 9th month? I doubled it again. I doubled my salary every month. Excuse me, my commissions. There was no salary. Every month until I left. And why? How? I got really good at this skill. I said, how can I serve you? I had a guy, I said, hey man, you need to get an alarm for your home. He said, I don't need an alarm. I was like, well, everyone should have an alarm. He's like, I got this dog. He does this, his dog pops up. I said, oh, that's pretty cool. I said, well, what happens if your dog is asleep? He said, I got this. He shows me a gun. I said, oh. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, those are pretty good rebuttals. But I asked him an open-ended question. I said, well, if there was a time you needed an alarm, when would that be? He said, well, you know what, Bruce? I travel a lot. I was like, where do you travel? He said, all across the U.S. I was like, where's your family? He said, they're at home. I said, how does that make you feel? They're home without you. He said, Bruce, it makes me nervous. I was like, yeah? Why are you nervous? He said, I worry about it, Bruce. I said, if I can help you keep an eye on your family while you're traveling so you're a little less worried about them, can we talk? He's like, let me put the dog away, Bruce. What did I do? I asked some open-ended questions. That's communication. A lot of people think selling is taking, is me telling you some script, is me convincing you something, but it's asking questions so I can figure out how to serve you well. If I serve you well, I get paid well. And that was a great commission. He had a big old house. I want you to remember this when you're going for a promotion, when you're on an interview, or if you're interviewing. The goal isn't to convince you to quit your job. That's not the point. I want you to be the best at whatever you do. Not because you're naturally talented and gifted. That'll help you get there faster. But you got to remember, number one is what? Come on, guys. Stay with me. There you go. Get feedback. Get a coach. Yes. And then number two? There we go. All right. And number three? One of my favorite things to say in an interview. I say, hey, listen, I'm good. I'm really good. But you know what you get when you hire me? So what's that, Bruce? I said, I'm going to be better next year. You think I get hired a lot? I do. People like to tell me yes. This is an invaluable skill. So there's one more skill. No, I'm going to give you 3 more skills. Is that okay if I give you 3 more skills?
Yeah, sure.
This is another skill. This is another amazing skill. Confidence is a skill. No one is born with confidence. That's good news and that's bad news. The bad news is you got to go get some. The good news is you can go get some. Does anybody, and I told you, I'm going to ask some quick trick questions. Where does confidence come from? You guys are going to be all right. I can create, let's think about it. Say, hey, Bruce, we need a speaker. Can you come and transform our audience? Maybe. I'm not going to pay Bruce. I say, listen, anyone who hears the sound of my voice will never be the same in the best way possible. When is the event? Do you think I hear yes a lot? Confidence is a skill. Where does confidence come from? It comes from practice. When I started speaking, I used to, how's that song go? Like, palms were sweaty, like knees weak. That was me, I was terrible. But I kept going. I kept getting those repetitions in. I think I'm doing all right so far?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it. So let's see here. We've got communication. We got confidence. These two together, crazy combination. Learning is a skill. Learning is a skill. I've read 5 books this year. Last year, I was being lazy. I only read 40. Year before that, I read 60. Year before that, I read 55. And year before that, I read 58. So I've read over 240 books in the last 5 years. How many books does the average high schooler read? 0.8. Why? Man, this is a whole nother training. Learning is a skill. Write that down. If you can consume more knowledge more quickly with more comprehension, what do you think that does to you compared to your competition, to your peers? Light years ahead, right? Light years is a measurement of distance, not time. If you can learn how to learn efficiently, it absolutely changes your life. It only takes one new skill to change your life. You could pick any one of these and rock and roll. How many skills does it take? I listen to audiobooks on 2x speed. Because I've learned how to learn more effectively. My comprehension and retention is about 70-80%. If I can listen to a book, if a 10-hour book takes me 5 hours, I can teach a class on it. This is an invaluable skill. That's why I don't believe in collecting certs just to collect certs. But if you can teach the concept, now we're multiplying our salary, our income by a factor instead of addition. All right, last one. Last one is actually a combination of these. I'm right over here. I'm putting all caps. And it's sales. Sales absolutely changed my life. And again, I don't want you all to go sell cars, okay? Make sure that's very clear. But sales is, and this is a little bit longer definition, but it may behoove you to write it down. Sales is the transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. Sales is the transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. And it's very, very subtle, But it's the reason that you all came to this training today. I was able to write this down. If I had just said learn new stuff, probably been like, I don't know what that means. But if I say, hey, you can change your life, you're like, well, my life could use a little changing. I don't know about you, life is good, but it ain't perfect. This is something I learned from sales. There's copywriting, there's marketing, there's so much underneath that. But if I can communicate effectively the outcome that I desire, I present it with confidence, and I understand the person I'm talking to and the problem I solve and the service I offer, how I solve it, that's fundamentally sales. People are gonna get excited. That enthusiasm is gonna go from me to them. Think about it. You're like, you guys, Quantum Mania is out this month, man. I can't wait to go see it. You should come with me. That's enthusiasm, right? New restaurant open. They serve oxtail ramen. That sounds wonderful, right? Enthusiasm. So they say, hey, Bruce, what's the address? What's the name of the restaurant? Let's go. The sale happens when the enthusiasm is transferred. The money doesn't happen till later, right? When I go buy my movie ticket, when the waiter brings me my bill. When you stop thinking about sales as money, when you stop thinking about sales as selling cars, you're going to be much more successful in every area of your life because you realize that sales is a service. I got to get them excited about how I'm going to help them solve their problem. If you take any one of these or a combination of them, your life, your career will be vastly different month over month, year over year. The only limitation is going to be how many repetitions you're able to get between here and there. I'm Bruce Hill of New Skills, New You. Thank you so much for your presence and participation and the opportunity to serve. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Before I hand out any surveys, what do they call them? Speaker evaluations. We have questions, comments, concerns. Nope.
Question.
Go ahead.
So the communication piece, I guess how would you recommend getting your reps in a way you can get feedback from them?
So the question is, how do we apply this to communication? How do we apply this to communication? This is feedback. So if they don't have a pen, they're welcome to borrow one. So let's use communication. I was looking for a promotion at a role, and they said, Bruce, you don't have enough leadership experience. Leadership is another great skill. I maybe should add that one on here. And I said, man, where can I get leadership skills? So I Googled communication and leadership, and Toastmasters pops up. So I go to Toastmasters, and I watch. They're giving presentations, giving little speeches, and they were all, respectfully, they were terrible. They were. But this is where the sales comes in. I saw a problem that I knew how to solve. So I said, hey guys, if I can help you, would you let me lead a workshop? They said, sure. So I led a workshop, and I taught them how to practice, right? And they started improving. Now they got so good, they started winning awards. Some people got promotions. Some people were able to double their salary because the class is teaching. Man, I'm on to something. And then something magical happened. And this is where I became an entrepreneur. I'm glad you asked this question. After one of our workshops, they came up to me and said, Bruce, how much do I owe you? I don't know. I was like, $100. They're like, sure. And they gave me 5 20s. And that, man, you ever see like you ever play a game, you open the treasure box and it goes, ah. I was like, man, this is great. That was the first time I ever got paid for what I did. Not paid the company and I got a check 2 weeks later. That's when I believe I became an entrepreneur. Now it's much less than $100 for a workshop. But the point I want to make to you is you can ask anyone you talk to for feedback. Whether that's your job, whether that's Toastmasters, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, there's lots of ways to do it. Anytime there's an opportunity for you to talk to more than 2 people, say yes. Those are the repetitions. And the feedback sometimes is going to be nonverbal. People are going to fall asleep. People are going to argue. And that's frustrating, but it should be encouragement because that's where you get stronger. All right? You don't get stronger from lifting little weights. You get stronger from lifting heavy weights. So you're going to be uncomfortable, and this is where so many people stop, right? They go 3 months, they make $300, and they quit, which is perfectly logical thing to do. But you achieve mastery on the other side of perseverance. Does that help?
Makes sense.
Go talk to more people. That's the answer. All right, so let's see here. Overall session. They've got smiley. That's genius. Okay, so the session title is One New Skill. The speaker is, yours truly is Bruce Hill, like over the hill. And then, they said go in the back if you need some more space. While you're doing that, let's get some takeaways. What's something that you learned? What's a new thought you have? What's something you're going to apply? Raise your hand, I'll call on you. Go ahead, Serena.
You reminded me something that my dean in my university said. He said you were learning computer science. He said, okay, what you learn here is going to be relevant soon. What you're really learning is how to learn.
Ooh, that's good. That sounds like a good professor. Thank you for sharing. Any other takeaways? Go ahead.
Bruce, it's perfect practice makes perfect.
Bravo, sir. Well said. Perfect practice makes perfect. I concur.
Practice the wrong thing.
You know what? And I said that, didn't I? I said if you practice wrong, you do it wrong. But you know what? That flip side of, can I add that to my presentation? Thank you. Brandon. Oh, sorry, I thought you're just yawning. Okay. Any other takeaways? Any little nuggets, gems? Go ahead, Brian.
I like your definition of sales.
Oh, thank you.
I always think of it just move, like you said, pushing product, but it's selling enthusiasm.
It really is. And I love that definition because you notice money's not anywhere in that definition. Any other takeaways? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think for me, is how much one skill can change that didn't learn anything about that way.
Absolutely. I didn't even tell you about the next year after that, man. That was a good year. Miss.
Oh, two things. So you're not going to improve from lifting light weights. And then the other one was, I'm really good, but next year I'll be better.
Thank you. That's such an important concept. Let's dive into that. There's a book, if anyone wants to work on their professional development, it's called Growth Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. D-W-E-C-K. D-W-E-C-K, called Growth Mindset. And the subtitle is The Surprising Secret to Success. What she found was that people that looked at difficulty or challenges as an opportunity to get better ultimately did well in the long run and comparatively better than their peers who were so used to getting it right the first time. They looked at difficulty as an indication of their own shortcomings. So let's break this down. You try something and you're terrible at it, you say, oh, I'm not a golfer, right? Oh, I'm not a speaker. Oh, I'm not a fill in the blank. And they stop and they never try again. But people with a growth mindset say, hey, this is an opportunity for me to improve, and they try over and over and over again, and then they get what happens, right? They're going to get good at it. There's something very, very fascinating about this, is that, and I wish I had time, what happens is your passion comes after practice. This is life-changing. Your passion comes after practice. It's impossible to be passionate about something you've never been introduced to. That's why it's so dangerous, even foolish, to think you were born with a passion. Because you might discover, man, I really love rugby. I love cricket. I don't know. Has anybody played cricket before? I have. It's a lot of fun. You may love it, but you don't know that because you've never tried it. This is very, very liberating. And I'll leave you all with this. Work is the thing we're obliged to do, right? I like having a place to sleep. I like having food to eat, right? I like the car starts when I turn the key. Play is our chance to explore, and it stimulates our creativity. Some of you, I see we're all different ages, maybe looking for that passion. What am I here for? Go try random things. Your passion may lie in something you haven't discovered yet. And I want to encourage you and liberate you that you're not missing anything. You're not incomplete. You just have more exploring to do. And what happens is, I erased it. Passion usually doesn't come until after, in my experience, that 1,000, 2,000 hour mark. You're like, hey, this is kind of fun. You get kind of good at it. Let's go back to the gym. If you've ever started a regimen, that first week is awful. You're sore, you're stiff. You're like, man, why am I doing this to myself? But if you keep going, you feel lighter, you sleep better. This is the same thing when it comes to passion. You get through that beginning part, remember on the curve, where your ability doesn't match your confidence, and it starts to be fun. And that's honestly why I like to separate passion from work, if at all. If you can do what you love and get paid for it, absolutely. But don't think that you have to change your careers to find it. Go do some play. Go do some fun things. Go do some things for free that aren't attached to an outcome, and see if you enjoy it. I hope that changed somebody's life there. Okay, that's my time. Hey, welcome. I want to make room for the next presenter. Jean-Joseph, I believe it's 2:52, is leaving a session on Azure. Good friend of mine, so I encourage you to check it out. Thank you all again. You can follow me at New Skills New You everywhere on social media, the website, and I look forward to hearing your success stories when our paths cross again. Cheers.